stand. Your witness is here.
It's not like he ran over the
Yes,
investigators.
We should have put him on the witness stand. He was on the witness stand. You gonna get your witness? Everyone may be seated. Get your witness. Jefferson County Court Law number 2 is now in session. Court is in session and calls number 332-118, case is filed in the state of Texas versus Lanisha Dene Matoir. Let the record reflect that Ms. Matoir is present in court with attorney Wright Kimler. Let the record also reflect that the state is present with its assistant district attorneys, Attorney Andrew Hill and Attorney Haley Simmons. Let the record reflect that the jury is now present and seated in courtroom. The witness, Mr. Broussard, Detective Boudreaux is on the witness stand. And Mr. Hubel, when we took a break on yesterday, you had the witness on redirect. Would you please proceed?
Yes, Your Honor. May I approve?
Yes, you may.
Doing this mark as state 16.
Yes.
You familiar with the view yesterday?
Yes.
Okay. And can you tell me what that is?
It's a NADA guides price report for a used car.
And so can you tell me more about the NADA guidelines price report? Is that a report that or a publication that is relied upon in that industry to determine the price of vehicles?
Yes.
It's a reliable authority in that regard.
Yes.
And so what's contained in that report you would use on a regular basis to determine the value of vehicles.
Correct.
For the permit, and for your investigation of that cases.
Yes.
And this is a very accurate copy of that report that you used in this case.
Yes.
No alterations.
No.
This one's state would post.
No objection.
No objections? Okay, no objection. States Exhibit 16 is admitted.
So, on States Exhibit 16, can you tell me what information is listed?
It gives you prices, several prices for a particular model vehicle, depending on the condition of the vehicle.
So, does it give you a low end, average, and high price range for that vehicle?
Correct.
Okay. And can you tell me what the average price for that 1987 Buick LeSabre was when you generated that report?
the average price is $2,250.
Can you tell me when you generated that report?
It was probably
If you
December of 21.
yeah, if you need to refer to your report,
I don't know that I put in my report that I printed this out on a particular day, but during the investigation, it happened on November the 22nd.
but
So it would have been November or December of 21.
so around the time of the offense.
Yes.
And can you tell me what the low retail price of that is?
1,250.
So you're familiar with the value range of what is consistent with a Class A misdemeanor theft case, right?
Yes.
And both of those values would place the value of the 1987 vehicle saver as in Class A range.
Correct.
May I interrupt, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
Showing you what's marked as state 17. Do you recognize it?
Yeah, it's a receipt from Scrapworks Recycle.
No. And was this receipt given to you during the course of your investigation?
Yes, it was.
Is it fair and accurate copy of that receipt?
Yes.
No alterations?
No.
Close to defense for objection or rebuttal?
No objection.
Objection states Exhibit 17 is admitted.
And this was given to you by Scrapworks Recycling?
Yes.
And at the bottom of the receipt here, there's a name. Can you tell me what name?
Kevin Antonio.
Does that name match up with any individuals that were involved in this case?
Kevin Enamorado, or whatever, I don't know how to say his last name, but one of the witnesses, suspect at first.
Are you aware of if Antonio is Kevin's middle name?
I have to look at my report. Yes, he told me his name was Kevin Antonio or Rafano Enamorando.
So, and to be clear, this was the receipt from Scrapworks for the 1997 vehicle saver when it was sold to them by the Enamorado brothers.
Correct.
No. There's also a date and time on the receipt. Does that date match up with the offense date in this case, November 22nd, 2020?
Yes.
Take that over.
Okay. Mr. Kemmler, you may proceed.
Yes. Mayor, first of all, before I forget to do this, I'm gonna tender that drawing as defendant's exhibit 2. The court will recall that was generated through
No objection.
the speed corner.
Okay. No objections. Defendant's Exhibit 2 is admitted.
Thank you very much. Will you take a minute to look at your report? And I wanted you to, if you would, write in big letters so we all can see the names of both of the individuals who are operating the tow truck that you brought in and interviewed and who identified this. Just write the full name of the person, first one here, and the second one. Okay? Big letters. Then take it, the other one, do it lower down, farther, or that, is that also part of the first
Yeah,
one?
yes, four,
Okay,
four
okay,
names.
okay. Okay, yeah, see. Now, I noticed on State's Exhibit 17, which is the receipt from Scrapworks. This is printed out, it says ownership, I hereby state that I am the lawful owner of the material described herein. I guess that means where it's described. Described here on, that I have a right to sell same, and that for payment received in full, hereby acknowledge I sell and give a title of same to Scrapworks. Right?
Yes,
And you would agree with me, that document's generated by Scrapworks?
yes.
Did they receive a title for that yet?
I don't know. They didn't give me one when I asked for any paperwork they had. This is all they ever gave me.
Knowing what you know about this case, do you think Scrapworks got a title to the vehicle, or do you know?
I don't know.
You think that's important, whether they got a title to the vehicle or not?
So, as I understand, if a vehicle is over 10 years old in Texas, they can sell them. And they have to sign something saying that they have the right to have possession without a title.
I'm
They
just
can sell
asking,
it without a title.
I'm just asking you on here, they're saying, this is Scrapworks saying that they were conveyed a title, right? That's my reading of that. They're saying they were conveyed a title of that vehicle. Am I wrong?
That's what it says.
Yeah. And so you don't know whether they got a title or not, or from whoever Kevin Antonio did. But it says that they did, right?
It says they did.
And somebody makes some squiggle lines there. And there's a printed name of Kevin Antonio, right?
Yes.
So it would seem to be that whoever made that signature, or if that is a signature, is acknowledging that they conveyed a title to that vehicle to Scrapworks.
It would appear that way.
Is this an official document or a legally required document
For,
for the purposes of conveying a vehicle for scrap material? Is this required by the state of Texas?
I don't know all the ins and outs of the TDLR law regarding metal recycling.
If this is an official document and it's falsified, would that be a felony?
If it's a state document,
If it's a state required document for regulatory purposes to be maintained in the regular course of business as a part of their statutory duty to maintain a record,
if that's what it is, yeah.
that would be a felony, right?
Correct.
So if there's a misrepresentation in here about receiving or conveying a title, that would be a felony, if knowingly made, correct?
Yes.
These end the bid, may I approach again, Your Honor?
Yes, you may.
These are the names that are associated with the two individuals that came in and gave statements, right?
Yes.
That identified this before. Right?
Yeah.
Kevin and Nelson, right?
Right.
What was your understanding of the legality in the United States, their immigration status? Would you make me clear to that? Did either one of them, were they able to speak the English language? If you were able to? So,
I talked to Kevin on the phone and he spoke some English.
some English, but you used an interpreter during the photo identification process, correct?
And the interview.
I'm just wondering, have you ever, I don't know, have you ever run across somebody from Mexico or Central America named Kevin?
I don't know, I think so, sure.
What about Nelson?
Yeah.
Maybe, who knows?
You know,
When you brought them in to be interviewed, did you make any attempts to substantiate or corroborate the names that these two individuals gave? We'll start with Kevin. Did you attempt to corroborate that asserted identity for the individual that you were going to interview?
I don't remember if he had any documentation or not, I can't recall,
So you don't know if you did or you didn't?
I don't remember.
Is that in your report?
No, I took his name for what he told me apparently.
So you didn't ask for any type of corroborating identification for this individual?
I don't remember if he provided any or not,
Did you ask?
I don't remember.
Would it be reasonable and customary in the course of investigating a case to corroborate a person's identity?
Yeah, I usually ask for their ID.
Do you remember if one was produced by the individual identifying himself as Kevin Antonio Barahona and Morado?
I don't remember if he did or not.
Would that be on the videotape of the interview?
Could be,
Well, would it be or not?
I don't know, I don't remember.
Maybe you repeat the videotape?
I looked over
Do you remember any kind of identification being produced or not?
it, I don't remember that, they seeing that.
We would have to look at the video to see if any type was provided. You would agree with me that there's nothing in your report indicating any type of documentary corroboration of the asserted name or identity of this individual, right?
Right.
And even if a person is here in what would illegally or an undocumented situation, they would still possess, wouldn't they still possess a passport from their country of origin? In other words, if somebody is from Mexico or Guatemala or El Salvador or Costa Rica, they would have a passport from one of those countries, an official government document with their identity in, correct?
It could. I don't know, I don't enforce federal laws on immigration.
I'm just asking about
I don't know.
identity. There's on States Exhibit 17, on the type portion, there's a license. Says license and the sunset symbol for number and a 8-digit number. Is that a Texas driver's license number for the person identifying himself as Kevin Antonio? Did
I don't know,
you ever try to run that number?
I don't remember.
There's no photograph or photocopy of any kind of identification for either of these individuals on States Exhibit 17, right?
Right.
There's plate number, would that be the plate number of the crushed vehicle, I'm assuming, or do you know?
Probably, if I had to guess, that would be a temporary tag that was on the truck. What brought it there?
Oh, of the truck that brought it
Yeah.
there. So the truck, this tow truck had a temporary license plate?
I don't know, I never saw it. It wasn't at his house,
Oh, well then how would you surmise that that was a temporary?
just by the format.
Meaning the number of digits or the alphanumeric characteristics of the asserted plate number? You can
Yeah,
infer that that's a paper plate?
Yeah, the fact that it has 4 numbers for the letter than a number, that's a temporary tag.
What problems have been associated with temporary tags? Temporary plate.
They can be forged,
Has there been a
they
problem with
can,
that?
they can be stolen and put on a different vehicle.
Has there been a problem with that?
Yeah.
And what legislative measures have been taken recently to address that problem?
They're gonna do away with paper tags here in the near future.
Did you attempt to run that tag?
I don't remember.
Is it in your report? Would it refresh your recollection?
Nothing in the report about that plate.
You didn't run it? Or can we infer that you didn't run it since it's not mentioned in your report?
Right. Yes.
If somebody has a valid Texas driver's license, will their full name be on?
Should be.
So if this license number here refers to a Texas driver's license, it should have, the license should have had Kevin Antonio Bajarona Enamorado on it, right?
Yeah.
But the only name that appears on the receipt, state 17, is Kevin Antonio, is that right?
Yeah.
And I think I may have asked you this before, but did you ever attempt to run those two names, Kevin Antonio Varana, Enamorado, and Nelson Esther Eduardo Enamorado, through any type of criminal history database such as NCIC or TCIC?
No, I didn't check them for warrants or anything.
Did you attempt to corroborate their identification? I know you said you don't recall doing it through any type of photo identification or state or national issued official identification documents, correct?
Right.
Did you print them and run their fingerprints through the computerized automated fingerprint identification system, AFIS?
No.
If somebody's fingerprints is run through the AFIS system, what does that tell you?
If you run someone's prints through APIS,
Correct.
if you run them, that means you're searching against their database.
AFIS is data.
Right.
What does that show? If you run an individual's fingerprints through the AFIS system?
Like military, people have their fingerprints in there, government employees have their fingerprints in there,
Well,
suspects or people that have been arrested
everybody who's been arrested in the country has their fingerprints loaded into that
should,
system.
any adults should have. their-
Right, not juveniles, correct, unless they can serve. So you would be able to see if that person, whose fingerprints, not just the name that they're giving, if their prints have ever been taken in connection with another criminal case or any kind of other proceeding, is that right? To corroborate their identification.
Yes,
And does the jail routinely do that with people who are arrested in our jail here in Jefferson County?
I'm only assuming that they do.
Sure. Other than what these two individuals told you their names were, just from them telling you that? Do you know who they are? What their names are?
So,
They could be someone else, right?
could be.
Someone that has warrants, that other jurisdiction.
Maybe.
You found them credible.
Yeah.
And how long have you been in office?
33 years.
And you didn't find this young lady credible?
No,
Why?
because I asked her about what happened and she said she didn't do anything and she didn't sell any cars.
That's not credible.
They picked her out of a lineup and showed me the apartment she lived in.
So their credibility, and I want to give you every chance I can here, right? Their credibility with you derives solely from the fact that both of them picked her out of a line.
Yeah.
He knew that they had a previous dealing with her, selling a title to them prior to the Buick being before the store, right?
They said they bought an SUV from her, yes.
So you knew when you were evaluating their credibility that they had had a prior dealing with her,
Yes,
a prior face-to-face encounter with her at her apartment, prior to them identifying her as a person that sold them the Buick, right?
at the complex, yeah, I don't know exactly, other than the fact they met her at the complex and bought an SUV from her.
And as a trained detective with 27 years of experience, did it occur to you that maybe that identification that they're giving you in relation to the Buick was predicated not on their encounter with her when she allegedly sold the Buick, but on their previous encounter with her when she legitimately, lawfully sold them her title, that they already knew she was because of this previous lawful encounter. Thus, that was what their ability to identify her was when asked about the Buick. Did that occur to you?
Yeah, they bought the Buick from the same lady they bought another vehicle from.
But as far as the credibility of the identification, it's not like the first encounter they ever had with her was when they alleged that she sold them the Buick. They knew who she was from a previous encounter to them, right?
Yeah.
And that didn't impact your evaluation of the credibility of that identification that they made of her being a person that sold them the Buick?
No,
What it made it, I guess it. And again, there was nothing to show that she ever sold them the Buick other than their word.
you're right.
There was no bill of sale.
No.
No key, I guess, but no receipt, right?
No,
There was no video surveillance of her being out by the Buick.
no,
And between her and these two guys, in your judgment, she's the one that should be charged with the theft, even though they're the ones who hooked the car up, pulled it with the wheels locked out of the spot, pulled it 30 feet with the wheels locked behind the building, by the side of the building where the view was obstructed, where the view was obstructed from the road by bushes, rolled the window down. And I would suggest you probably busted the column on the car with a video of them driving the car off, with it admitting that they took the car, with arguably, as Sprout works, when they sold the car, making a material misrepresentation about having title to the car and not signing what is the correct name to the receipt. You knew all those things. Without those two, But you chose not to charge them, but to charge her?
Yeah.
And that's reasonable?
Yes.
In your opinion?
Yes.
And you're asking, you're asking this jury to convict her, basically, is that right?
Yes.
Are you familiar with something called a certificate of salvage? No?
No.
That these two guys are supposed to have before they can tow cars? You're not familiar with that? Anything? No? What about having to be on file with the Port Arthur Police Department to tow vehicles?
You can tow vehicles for yourself. You can't be for hire. You have to be on the list that you're talking about. Port Arthur is a non-preference list that we have.
If officers,
And you're towing vehicles at police request or from accident scenes. That doesn't apply.
so if Officer Seltzer testified that when he was investigating this thing, he checked with the city of Port Arthur to see if there was any type of tow done on this car for a license, but there wasn't any.
If there was any, so if record companies tow vehicle from private property, they're supposed to, there's no law. They're supposed to call us and let us know, hey, this is record XYZ, we're towing a 97 Buick Sabre from the townhome.
So they're not required to and again, I'm wondering what Officer Seltzer testified to. They're not required to be registered with the city of Port Arthur to tow vehicles for hire.
To tow for hire from police accident scenes or police request. They're supposed to be on our list.
Let's say engaged in the business of towing vehicles. They're not required to register with the city of Port Arthur if they're engaged in the business of towing vehicles.
Only if they're towing at our request or from accident scenes.
Otherwise, they don't have to be registered with the city.
Not with Port Arthur.
Did you ever view the crush bar?
No.
So you don't know if it had all of its parts or it was crushed? Right?
Right, I don't know.
Okay, so
Mr. Hill? Yes, you may.
I'm showing you once again what's marked as State's Exhibit number 17. Just to be clear, this receipt is in English, correct?
Yes.
So an individual who is mostly Spanish speaking, do you think an individual with that understanding of the English language may have difficulty understanding this form?
It's possible.
You testified that you found the brothers credible.
Yes.
The brothers being Kevin, Nelson, and Morocco.
Yes.
Based on verifiable information.
Right, that they pointed out an apartment and identified Ms. Matuire as the person they bought the car from.
And that's in the lineup.
Yes.
They also had text messages that, or Kevin also had text messages that he gave you, which were a communication between him and the seller.
Him and someone.
And when you went out to the Kevin's home, there none of the vehicles in at their residence came back stolen.
Correct.
Which there were multiple vehicles out there.
There were numerous.
Okay. Now, when you went out to the apartment to talk to Ms. Matoyer, did you ask about the SUV sale, or were you just asking about the?
I believe I just asked about White Buick.
Okay. As far as your charging decision in this case, as to not charging the Enamorados, that was based on their cooperation with the investigation.
Correct.
And is the selling of another's vehicle without their consent theft?
Yes.
No further questions.
Okay. May this witness be excused?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, excuse, please follow the bailiff. Mr. Hubert, would like to call you next witness?
State calls Detective Ileana Jaquez.
Jaquez,
Yes, sir.
Detective Jaquez. Detective Jaquez, you can come forward. Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Okay, you may put your hand down, take the witness stand. Mr. Hill, you may proceed.
Would you please introduce yourself to the jury and tell them how you are currently employed?
I'm Ileana Jaquez. I work for Florida Police Department. I'm a detective there.
And can you give me your educational background and experience?
In March, I made 11 years. In 2019, I went to the CID division and I worked sexual assault.
Are you a certified peace officer?
Yes.
So what are your current job duties?
I investigate all sexual assaults of children and adults.
Are there certain times during your work that you're asked to help other officers or detectives with translation?
Yes.
Are you a fluent Spanish speaker?
Yes.
Now, do you recall assisting Detective Earl Boudreaux in translating an interview with two individuals, Kevin Enamorado and Nelson Enamorado? And during these interviews, I mean, you helped with interpretation from each Spanish and vice versa.
Yes.
Were the Enamorados ever shown photos during this interview?
Yes, sure. Photo lines.
So, you had shown, okay, you were the one who showed them the photo lines.
Yes.
And is there a policy at Puerto Rico Police Department concerning who can show photo lines?
Have to be someone who doesn't have pretty much anything about the case or alleged suspect is.
So you did not know who the identity of the suspect throughout this entire investigation?
No.
Do you at this point know who the suspect was? So you don't know or recall much specifically from your personal knowledge about this case?
And I remember being asked to translate, show the lines, and that's pretty much involvement.
Did you write a report for this case or
No.
something? So your involvement in this case was essentially just showing the witnesses, the lineups, and translating for Officer Pedro.
Yes.
And were these were the photo lineups conducted separately for the brothers?
Yes.
Okay. And After those lineups, the Detective Boozer will have you assist him in speaking to both brothers together.
I don't remember.
I realize it's been a couple of years. May I approach your honor?
Yes, ma'am.
Showing you what's marked as state exhibit number 18. Do you recognize what this is?
Yes.
And do you recall what the contents of this USV is?
That's all well. In the interview room.
Yeah, that is correct.
On the-
So, can you say once again what this was?
The-
No, but the contents.
Okay, should be, administering a photo lineup to the two brothers.
Did you have an opportunity to review the contents of this flash drive? Is it a fair and accurate copy of or representation of the events as they occurred that day? Okay. No alterations? And was the video taken from a security camera in the interrogation room? And that's a device capable of making accurate recordings? At this point, state the questions.
Can I ask you one question?
Yes, you may take witness on for that.
No, was Detective Bridger, is he depicted in this, USB?
At some point, he leaves right before I administer the lineup.
Is there any interaction between Detective Bridger and the, guys in the interrogation, if you translate it?
It should be on that video, but
I'm just wondering, is this just a video of the photo identification process, or is this a video of the actual interrogation that Detective Bridger was conducting of these two in the translate?
I think it's both.
Have you reviewed it? That's-
Entirely, no.
I'm sorry?
Quick review, entirely, no.
We'll take a look at it. That's true. We'll take a minute, let her review
Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, you're gonna take a recess, please. Follow the bailiff into the hall. All set. You may be seated. Let the record reflect that the court is back in session and clause number N 342-118, case of style of state of Texas versus Lanisha Dene Matoir. Let the record also reflect that Ms. Matoir is present in the court with her attorney Wright Kimbler. Let the record reflect that the state is present with Assistant District Attorney, Attorney Andrew Hubel, and Attorney Haley Simmons. Let the record reflect that the jury is now present and seated in the courtroom. And the witness, Detective Jaquez, is on the witness stand. State, are you ready to proceed?
State's ready, Your Honor.
You may proceed.
When we last left off, I was, posting the defense manufacturing.
No objection.
Okay, what is exhibit number?
18.
Okay, State's exhibit number 18 is admitted.
Is it, main state published, State's 18?
Oh, hold on a minute. Before you do that, get one of the coordinators, get that on. If you put it on that monitor. Thanks. Disconnect that mic. Yeah, how much,
No, there was no.
yes. Y'all staying that side. Hold on a minute. Oh, yeah, you need to dim the lights.
Can you see, and if you can't see that far, there's a screen, behind you too. So, and then that's an interior room at Port Harcourt Police Department.
Yes, sir.
And can you tell me what's being depicted currently? In the performance mark of Stacy's 18?
I think I'm fixing to start reading the, instructions before I show it live.
Okay. And you gave the witness, those instructions clearly?
Yes, sir. I read them in English and then I would translate them in Spanish.
Okay. The witness did signal that they understood. And it said, and the witness, did signal that they understood. Or there's a form that is, and is there a form that you have them sign?
Yes.
Says, so to make sure that they understood. Okay. And the individual that you're speaking to there, is that Kevin Enamorado?
Oh, sorry.
It's, I understand, it's been a couple of years. But, these were the individuals that Detective Earl Boudreaux asked you to speak to and administer the lineup to.
Yes.
I'm going to ask you the same questions here. Did you give the witness, clear instructions in Spanish on how the, line of procedures is going to occur?
Yes.
Okay. And you also had them sign the form that's in your story?
Yes.
Okay. So, and for both the lineups, Detective Boudreaux was outside the room, correct?
Yes.
So he had no involvement in those, in the administering of those lineups, it was just you.
Yes.
After you had, completed the lineups and assisted Detective Boudreaux in translation, did that include your involvement in this case?
I think I translated one more statement, witness statement. Just read it back to one of the brothers and once they understood, that's what was on the statement.
Okay,
That
but
was it.
outside of translation, you didn't have any investigative work on this case?
No.
State has the witness.
No questions.
No questions?
No questions.
Okay, may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, Detective Jacques, you're excused. Do you have another witness?
At the same state arrest.
Okay, so at this time, ladies and gentlemen, the state has rested. We're gonna take a break, I'll take a lunch break. It's 12:08. Okay, be back at 1:30. Okay. All right, everyone please stand as the jury exits the courtroom. Court will be in recess.